I think when the lockdown was announced, all the administrations, whether in Delhi or elsewhere, should have realized that this was a period for them to gear up, because the lockdown was not going to be, it cannot and was not to be a permanent affair. At some point, the lockdown had to be and was going to be over. I must also tell you, the system that is prevalent under the Disaster Management Act gives almost the or substantial power to the states. Health is, of course, the state subject, whether it's in Delhi or elsewhere. So that was the time when we had to see, when the states had to buffer up their infrastructure, create facilities for people to quarantine and otherwise. Now that's, you may not be able to create hospitals overnight, but you can create facilities for internment, for quarantine. And unfortunately, what we've seen is that the much touted schemes and the much touted facilities that we were told about, that we had these Mohalla clinics and all of that, that's really been taking away the same doctors from the primary health centers, whereas we had 2 months to gear up the primary centers and deal with a totally new situation which has arisen out of COVID. There is a serious concern because the right to health is a fundamental right, is part of the right to life and liberty. And today what we are seeing is in all these traumas that the right to health is being done. There was, of course, one issue which we must, in all fairness, clarify, that when bodies are not released, that's because there are certain protocols on how bodies are to be released and how they are to be cremated, etc. That's a certain norm. And that applies across the board because of your and my safety. But that exception apart,
True.
We really have to see, is this the state of India's capital? Why can't we even now start gearing up our infrastructure? Why are we spending time and money and energy on advertising campaigns, whether to decide whether or not to extend the lockdown? It is time to sit down and ensure some states, and I must tell you this, some states, for example, Uttarakhand, have given COVID jobs. These are jobs to doctors who had applied and they've been kept in on contractual terms, 3 years, 5 years. They've been given immediate jobs in the last 2 months. What were we doing in Delhi at the time? And that's a matter of serious concern.
Right. Absolutely. I'm also welcoming Sadar RP Singh, who's joined in now. RP is saying the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan will be meeting Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal, Chief Minister Kejriwal along with members of SDMA to review the situation. But like Mr. Siddharth Luthra has been telling us, what went wrong in the capital? The Supreme Court has pulled up, calling it horrifying what's been happening in Delhi. No hospital beds, testing at an all-time low. How do we live here? What do we do here?
Well, as Siddharth Luthra said, he rightly pointed out, he's a learned person, that Delhi got a time to prepare itself.
On 7th April, our Chief Minister said that we're getting up with some 30,000 odd beds, which I'm sorry, he couldn't get up in this period. And the last affidavit he filed in the court was 1350. Probably since they built up some 8,000 beds today, and they are still claiming there are beds which are vacant. But no one wants to go for the vacant beds because the condition of the hospitals, the way the news is coming from those hospitals, the dead bodies and the patients are lying together. And secondly, where we failed was that our testing, we failed on testing one, and on tracing. I mean, our tracing of the patients. I mean, if we have a patient, then we should trace all of the people who have come in contact with that. The contact tracing part was, we failed miserably. I've been told Delhi is only at 2%, whereas national average is 47%, and we need to do it at 100% plus to save ourselves. So we probably went awfully bad on that. And thirdly, our health minister in Delhi was in some mind that probably with temperature going to 44 or 45, it will go off. He's on record on a statement saying that June it will be over because the temperature will rise to 44. So put together, we couldn't prepare ourselves, and then still there is time because the situation is bad, no doubt. Today, I can't say whether it's a community spread or not, but it is really sad. And then I don't see any way out right now until we all put our boots together and start working on it. I'll give you one example. For example, MCD has hospitals which MCD has already said, you please take over. And then since there's an epidemic law in Delhi, they can act in Delhi, they can easily take over hospital. And MCD is offered that, but Delhi government is not doing it. There is 2 new hospitals which are ready, Tilak Nagar and Kalkaji, There's 100 beds each. They can immediately take over those hospitals. They are looking for barat ghars and all other facilities, community centers. There are hospitals ready, which are still to be dedicated to society. But they are, the buildings are ready, structures are ready. They should immediately take over the hospitals. They are not doing that.